All right, so look, we got chapter 482, and this chapter, I like this chapter. I like this chapter a lot. Now, I really love this chapter. When I first read it, I was like, oh man, 10 out of 10 chapter for me. I don't know, it kind of gave me I really liked the whole connection with Arthur and Tessia, and then like reconnecting and talking to each other again. I had really liked that. But after reading it again, I would say it's more on the lines of like an 8.5 out of 10. I still really, really enjoyed the chapter. I just kind of downgraded a little bit because not a whole lot happened, right? But if we talk about the beginning of the chapter, right? So we meet this new character. Her name is Preya, and apparently she is the ruler of Everburn. And so she's curious about Arthur and how he's using his ether arts, and how he's able to absorb the ether and whatnot. And I guess it seems like she is not really fond of Kezess and the Indrath clan. They said that she used to be like a sister clan to the Indrath clan, but I guess not so anymore. And so I was thinking about her, and I'm just like, okay, maybe that could be a potential ally going forward for like the whole political stuff that's going to be happening with Ephiodus, right? With all the Great Eight and all that stuff, right? So I was thinking that maybe she could be another ally or something along those lines, right? But so she rules Everburn. Maybe we'll find out more about her and Everburn. Maybe we'll kind of get more into that. I'm not entirely sure, but I'll be interested in knowing more about her clan, Everburn. Why is she like the leader of her, like as far as like the rest of her clan? Like, is she really that strong or powerful? Because I don't think Arthur mentioned anything about how powerful she was. But I'm curious to see like how strong she is and whatnot. After Arthur gets his core refilled, he's back at full strength. The itch is gone, which I still don't understand what that whole itch was about. I'm guessing it has something to do with Cecilia, or maybe it was just the attack and it needed more time to heal. But it seemed like that itch didn't go away until he sent her back to her world. So I'm still not sure about the whole itch thing. So I guess that's one part that I'm not completely understanding as far as the story goes. But once again, we got Arthur struggling with love and his emotions as far as like romantically with Tessia and everything. Has to have to talk with his mom about how he's been just avoiding her and whatnot. So we're still getting more Arthur. He still hasn't grown up enough to where he knows how to handle love and relationships. He knows how to handle, which we know from his experience in Alacria, he knows how to handle the political aspects of romance, right? So he knows how to tease and he knows how to flirt and things like that, right? I still laughing thinking about the one. Was she a professor? I'm not entirely sure, but like when she showed up at his door out in the rain, soaking wet, and then she met Kara there, and Kara's like, "Oh, why are you wet?" And then she's just like, fucking like, just crazy, right? So I was still thinking about that and all the flirting that he was doing with her, and so I'm just like, okay, he know how to handle it politically, but when he actually has feelings with somebody, he doesn't really know how to handle it. And so I just thought that was just kind of funny, just how he's still struggling with that, right? Anyway, he ended up teaching her how to fly or helping her with her flight, and she's able to get a better grasp of her core because she wasn't white core before, she was silver core, so now she's white core and she hasn't had to deal with the progression of going from silver to white, so it's probably just harder for her to understand it. But I mean, it seemed like she kind of got the whole flight thing down pretty quickly with Arthur. I mean, it seemed like he was only helping her out for maybe a half hour or so, and she was able to start flying. So she seemed to be getting it down pretty quickly. Another thing we learned in this chapter is that your average everyday Asura isn't very... Okay, I can't say they're not very strong, because they're really strong in comparison to humans, but they're not like on Winsome level. They're not like on, I don't know, Tacey's level or anything like that. He compared them to being slightly stronger than a white court mage, which is crazy powerful. You know, because they don't even have a whole lot of white court mages in Epheotis, or not Epheotis, in Dicathan. And so the fact that every single one of them just at base level is a little bit stronger than a white court mage, like that's crazy. Like a farmer, I'm a farmer, and I can just, you know, I can go toe to toe with a white court mage. Like that's crazy. So they're still powerful, but they're not like top tier, you know. And another thing I find in this chapter too is that he still compares Kezess with Aldir, right? So like the comparison he made, he was like, oh, you know, they're not as strong as Kezess and Aldir, or even Winsome, and then he talked about Vakajor and shit like that. Like, so he's still putting like Kezess and Aldir like right up on that tier. So I thought that was interesting that he still, like, man, I just think back to Aldir, man. Like the fact that Aldir went out the way that he did is a travesty. It really is a travesty. But anyway, so he ended up teaching Tessia. He ended up teaching her how to fly, and lo and behold, you know who shows up. Kezess shows up, and he's trying to use his it's crazy, like he's not a spatial mage, he's a time mage, but like he uses space too, because he's able to like warp people to other locations and stuff. So I'm not entirely sure how all that shit works, but yeah, he tries to warp Arthur to I think the Path of Insight, I think is what it is. But Arthur ends up stopping that shit dead in his tracks. And I'm just like, oh shit, that's how he gonna send this message. He's gonna be like, nah, you ain't about to warp me off right here. I'm shutting this shit down. How about we fly? I wanna see more of this city of yours or whatever. I'm just like, man, he put up the shit, what is it called? What is it called? King's Gambit. He ended up using King's Gambit, which is interesting too, that he has two different versions of King's Gambit. He has King's Gambit where he empowers the room, but the crown doesn't show, so people aren't able to tell that he's using it. But then he got the full version of it, which the crown is there, and he's able to tap into it fully. And so, you know, he's using the partial version, and you know, he's trying to calculate how the best way to respond to Kezess showing up, and then he ends up stopping this teleportation, warping ability, and ends up flying. And so we're gonna get the confrontation with Arthur and Kezess and see kind of how that all plays out. I should do I'm gonna have another video up talking about that chapter, because that chapter's kind of crazy. It really is kind of crazy. So I'm gonna make a video talking about that. But so far, I enjoyed this chapter, man. I really did enjoy this chapter. This chapter was cool. You know, seeing Arthur and Tessia kind of reconnect again, I really like that. We're not even gonna think about Cecilia. Like, that bitch is over and done with. She's just, we're moving forward. And then we're gonna get into like the political stuff about Epheotis and shit. So that's interesting, how he's gonna handle, you know, his family and everybody he cares about being there, and this Kezess is gonna try to kill him. Like, we still got to see how that goes. But so far this chapter was good. I really did like this chapter, and I'm looking forward to the next chapter, and then the one after that, which should be Friday. So we'll kind of see what happens then. But anyway, that's my thoughts on this chapter. Stay tuned for the next video. Should be up here soon, talking about chapter 483. And then I know 484 should be coming out tomorrow by the time you see this. So yeah, I'm gonna try to catch up and at least get back on pace with the actual releases. But anyway, appreciate y'all checking out this video. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, all that good stuff. Help your boy out, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.